Ever wonder how a central bank, like one that's not even focused on profit, makes money? We're talking serious cash.
Yeah.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into how the Reserve Bank of India, the RBI, manages their finances.
Okay.
It's pretty wild,
It is a unique system. A lot of people don't understand it.
right? Like, how does that even work?
Yeah.
So the article mentions this idea of seigniorage.
Uh-huh.
It's basically the profit a central bank, like the RBI, makes just by printing currency.
Okay.
Sounds crazy, but it's actually like a key part of how things work.
Yeah. So the RBI, basically, they just print notes.
Right.
And then they use that money to get even more money.
So, like, they make money from the money they make.
Exactly. Through different ways. Yeah.
It's kind of like in the article, they had this example.
Yeah.
Imagine the RBI print, say, a 100-rupee note.
Okay.
To print the note costs them hardly anything,
Right.
like maybe 2 rupees. But when they give that note to a commercial bank, that bank has to pay them the full 100 rupees.
Exactly.
It's kind of like, wow,
Yeah.
where does the value even come from?
Right. It is a huge part of their income, especially in India, like with so much currency.
It really makes you think, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop there. I mean, the RBI makes money in other ways too, right? Not just printing money.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Lots of ways. One big one is lending money to banks,
Oh, okay.
commercial banks. They need money to, for their daily work.
Right, to do business.
Yeah. And they often borrow from the RBI for that.
And the RBI makes money from, like, the interest on those loans.
Exactly. Yeah.
So they're kind of like the backup for the whole banking system.
Yeah, you could say that. Lender of last resort. It helps keep the whole system running smoothly.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And what about they buy government bonds too, right?
Right.
I mean, the government needs money too.
Huge for all their projects and stuff. So they issue bonds. It's how they get money. And the RBI buys these bonds. They're basically lending money to the government.
And so the RBI gets interest just like anyone else who buys a bond.
And exactly. Exactly. It's a win-win. They make money, and it helps the government.
Clever. But wait, there's more, right? What about those foreign exchange operations?
Oh, yeah.
That's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
The article said they made over 1 lakh crore rupees last year.
Oh, yeah.
From Forex just last year. I mean, that's crazy money.
It's a lot.
So how does that even work?
Well, they invest in stuff like U.S. government bonds. And then they, use their expertise to profit from, like when currency values go up and down.
Like they play the currency market.
Kind of, yeah. It's not that simple, of course, but basically it takes a lot of skill to do it right, but the gains can be massive.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they have all these different ways to make money.
Right.
But what's interesting is that the article says they keep their costs pretty low.
Yeah, surprisingly low.
Like they're really efficient, right?
Yeah, they have to be.
So they spend money on things like actually printing the money.
Right.
And then like fees they have to pay to other banks to handle, some government stuff.
Right.
And then their payroll.
Yeah, stuff like that. Basic operational stuff.
Yeah, but that's nothing compared to how much they're making.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, the scale is it's massive.
So it's like, wow. And here's another thing that's interesting. The article mentions that, because the RBI is a nonprofit,
Right.
they don't pay taxes on their earnings.
That's right. No income tax.
That's a pretty sweet deal.
It is, but, they're not in it for the profit.
Right. Their goal is to keep the whole system stable.
Exactly.
So it makes you wonder, what do they even do with all that money?
Well, they're pretty responsible with it.
Oh, okay, good.
A big chunk of it goes into something called the contingency fund.
Contingency fund.
Yeah.
What's that, like a rainy day fund? For like the whole country?
You got it. It's basically a safety net for the economy. Like if something crazy happens, like a financial crisis.
Right.
Or some other big global event, they can use that money to stabilize things.
So it's there just in case, like, to prevent things from getting really bad.
Exactly. And the RBI, they take that responsibility seriously.
Makes sense.
Just this year, they put like 1.3 lakh crore rupees into that fund.
Whoa, that's a lot.
Yeah. You got to be prepared for anything.
Right. So that's one thing. What about the rest of the money? Where does that go?
Well, the rest goes to the government as a dividend.
Oh, so like a payment.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And that money helps the government, pay for stuff, public services, all that.
Right. Schools, roads, all that.
Exactly. So it's like the RBI's success directly helps the government help people.
It's a good system.
Yeah, it works pretty well.
But I guess it all comes back to, the RBI's main job isn't just to make money.
Right. It's not about the profit.
It's to make sure things are stable.
Yeah, monetary stability for the whole country. Keep inflation under control.
Oh, right. Inflation. That's a big deal.
It is. If they just printed tons of money, prices would go crazy.
Right. Everything would cost more.
Exactly. It's all about balance.
So they have to be careful.
Very careful. They're always watching things.
That sounds like a stressful job.
It is. But someone's got to do it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it makes you think about how much power the RBI has.
Oh, yeah, a lot of power.
And, how do we even know they're using it responsibly?
That's a good point.
So, who watches the watchmen?
Right. Transparency is key. And they are pretty good about that.
Oh, good.
They put out a lot of reports, like the one FinShots used for their article.
Right, that annual report.
Yeah, so people can see what they're doing, how they're making decisions.
Okay, that makes sense. It's still kind of mind-blowing to think about, the effects of their decisions.
Oh, yeah.
If they decide to print more money,
Right.
it could cause inflation.
Right.
Which means things get more expensive for everyone.
Exactly. And if they raise interest rates to, fight inflation,
Right.
well, that makes it harder for businesses to borrow money.
So it can actually slow down the economy.
Yeah, potentially. It's a tough job, trying to find the right balance.
It's like walking a tightrope.
Exactly, a financial tightrope.
I'm glad I'm not in charge of that.
Me too.
They need that big contingency fund, for sure. You never know what's going to happen.
Absolutely. It's like an insurance policy for the entire country.
That's a good way to put it. But, this whole conversation, it really makes you think about trust, how much trust we have in this system.
That's a really good point.
We trust that our money has value.
Right.
And that trust is based on, believing that institutions like the RBI are doing the right thing.
Yeah. If people lose faith in the currency, the whole thing could collapse.
That's a scary thought.
It is. So yeah, the RBI makes a profit, but their real job is much bigger than that.
Right. It's about protecting the system, making sure it works for everyone. This has been really eye-opening.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff.
We've learned about how they make money, what they do with it, and, the challenges they face.
The RBI, they do a lot more than people realize.
Right. But for me, the big takeaway is that they're not just focused on profit.
Right.
They're trying to make sure the whole financial system is stable for the whole country.
It's a pretty noble mission.
It is. It's almost like they're guardians of the economy.
I love that. Protecting us from all the crazy stuff that can happen.
Yeah. All right. So ready for the final thought?
Let's do it.
So we've seen how the RBI makes money, but it's not about the profit, right? It's about using that money to keep things stable for all of India.
Exactly. It's a pretty unique model. Lots of potential, but also, some risks.
Right. It's that balance, right, between growing the economy, keeping things stable, and making sure the power is used responsibly.
It's the big question. It's what everyone's trying to figure out, not just in India.
Yeah, it's a worldwide thing.
Yeah.
So what do you see as the good things about this system?
Well, one big plus is that the RBI, they're not dependent on the government for money.
Okay.
They have their own income. So they can make decisions based on what's best for the economy.
Right. Not based on politics.
Exactly. It keeps them credible. And it's better for long-term stability.
That makes sense. And we talked about that dividend they give to the government.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one. That money helps the government a lot, to pay for all the important stuff.
Right. So everyone wins. But we also talked about some potential problems.
Yeah, of course. There's always a flip side.
Like inflation.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a big one. If they print too much money, the value of the rupee goes down, prices go up.
And that hurts everyone.
Yeah, especially people who are already struggling. It's a tough balance to find. Enough money to keep things moving, but not so much that it causes problems.
Right, like that tightrope we were talking about.
Yeah.
Any other downsides?
Well, some people say there should be more oversight of the RBI, more accountability.
Oh, okay. Because they have so much power.
Exactly. And with great power comes great responsibility, right? So it's important to make sure that power is used wisely and transparently.
That's true. People need to be able to see what's happening, how decisions are being made.
Absolutely. Transparency builds trust. And trust is essential for a healthy economy.
Well, I think we've covered a lot today.
We have. It's been a great discussion.
We've learned how the RBI makes money, what they use it for, the good and the bad.
It's a complex system, for sure.
It is. But it's important to understand it because it affects all of us.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power, right?
Exactly. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this. We've seen the RBI's model, They make a profit, but their goal is to keep things stable. So how do we find that balance between growth, stability, and making sure the power is used the right way?
It's the question we all need to be asking.
It's a big one, and there's no easy answer, but it's a conversation we need to keep having.
For sure. It's about our future. All of us.
Right. So keep thinking about it, keep learning, and keep asking questions. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time.